Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Independent Podcast. I'm here with Lilly Zhou.
Hi,
How you doing? Li-
fabulous.
Lilly is a former candidate for the United States Senate
Also,
uh,
the city council,
and City Council
District
for
1.
District One. Awesome. Um, we're here to discuss Lily's point of view, learn about how she came to this country. And one of the things that I wanted to say thank you for is you had when I was running for Congress a few years back, you had invited me to kind of this panel for candidates at the time,
Mhm.
which I very much appreciated, and
Thank
to
you.
me really showed your willingness to help other people. So I just want to say thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But before I get into some of the questions, I really kind of want to know your background first. Where you were born, where you went to school, how you came to this country, how you got to San Diego, and what you're doing now.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. I was born in China
Okay.
and born and raised in China
Yeah.
until I was 15. I left China after China opened up to the world.
Mhm.
So I grew up during the Cultural Revolution, which is people are not educated because we're not supposed to learn, so that we follow Chairman Mao, everything he wished us to be.
Okay.
And that goes to the two countries system too, because now that I live in both sides,
Uh-huh.
I understood, how China has to run it that way, and because of the people and culture.
Mhm.
And United States, we run this way. It's our people and our culture here.
Yeah.
And I am very lucky because I got to live the both, both world, and I
Yeah.
appreciate both.
Yeah.
And so when I came to United States, I did not know English
Mhm.
and no money and no connection, but
Mhm.
this country has made all my dreams come true. And I just wanted to give back. And well, some people corrected me saying, you're not giving back and you're not paying back. But to me, that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to do, so that our future generation will continue to live in a country that is free.
That's awesome. I love hearing stories like that.
Thank you.
When you talk about how China kind of has to run or operate the way they operate because of the culture of China, what do you mean by that? Like, what if you can delve into that a little bit? What does that mean?
Okay, because a lot of the people back then wasn't educated. And that's why 1949, when communists came
Mhm.
and united the whole China, and 90% of the people definitely are for it, because then they know, everybody's equal,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So we lived in that era. We were happy because we didn't know any better.
Mhm.
I did not know the Vietnam War. I did not know anything about any other country, and life could be better than that, because back then we didn't have refrigerator, we didn't have fan, we didn't have any luxury.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, yesterday my brother and I, we had lunch, and then we kind of remembered that we never gone out of the restaurant, because I took them out to the restaurant yesterday. And then so we're talking about, till I was 15 years old. I never did. He did, because he worked.
Okay.
And then his friends. So now he told me, but I did not know that before, because I know every penny he made, it goes back to my mom.
Oh, wow.
So I say, how in the world you have money to go out to eat? And it's impossible. So I never stepped foot into a restaurant.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Do you find that being a citizen in a free country, as opposed to maybe growing up in China where it's not so free, that because we are free here, there's a certain level of more responsibility that we have to take on as citizens?
Yes.
Meaning that because of our democracy and our freedom to choose, we have to make smarter choices because of that, and so we have to be more informed. Does that make sense? Do you feel that here?
I feel that here, but I also felt that after the two runs, I felt that it's very difficult, because, like, for example, my run for the city council was really simple.
Yeah.
I saw the pothole. I just want to fix it. But until today, are we fixed? And do we have the budget? Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But what happened? You understand?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm very, very frustrated. And it's for, yes, we're free, but we're not free because of the bureaucracy. Okay. And then the same with the United, US Senate.
Yeah.
People will say, Lily, why, you have no experience. We're not, you don't qualify. I say, no, it's not about qualifying or not qualifying. It's me showing you what I can do for you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And it's me because my dreams come true.
Right.
And I wish everybody lived happily. And isn't it that's what the founding father created this country over 200 years ago?
Yeah.
Their intention is to pursue of happiness and freedom.
When you were, growing up as a child in China, was it something at a very young age you knew you were going to come here, or was it kind of like almost last minute and you had an opportunity and you were able to come?
No. Because back then during Cultural Revolution, we have no idea there's another world outside of the village that I was in.
Yeah.
And then once a year we have a field trip to the Guangzhou because my mom and dad are Shanghainese.
Okay.
And my mom was being sent to Guangzhou to reform with her father.
Oh, wow.
But she never told us that because she was on the blacklist. She's part of the landlord.
Okay.
So in 1949, the communists united the whole China and took over everything. And in 1994, when my mom went back to China, her own room was living, a whole family of her nanny's family living in her own room.
Wow. Yeah.
But we weren't allowed to know that.
Okay.
Because my mom would have never told us.
Yeah.
Because back then we were trained to love Chairman Mao more than our parents.
Wow. And is that from like the school? Is that the
school?
Okay.
And the community.
And the community.
Because if my mom would have told me, where she came from and the story, I wouldn't be so proud and I wouldn't be the kind of like captain of the class.
Right.
And because it was in a village, it's a farm village. So from our home, our windows, it's the rice fields.
Okay.
And then we walk 45 minutes to school.
Oh, wow.
Every morning.
Yeah.
And then 45-minute walk back and then rest for 2 hours and then walk back again in the afternoon and come back again.
Oh, wow.
So we walk a lot.
Yeah.
And then I wish the walk that I did before, it will compensate me right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, the funny part was my brother, because we walked through all the farmers' field, right? So sometimes they harvest cucumbers, rice fields, vegetables, and green and green beans and snow peas and all of that, right? All these years I couldn't, because we're just in the road that nobody can see it, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't do any of it, right?
Oh, wow.
But my brother now, he told me, because all his friends told me, your brother used to stole all the stuff and chickens, fruits, and everything for us to eat.
Yeah.
We love your brother. And so I told my brother, I said, why don't you share with me? Because I didn't have any.
Yeah.
And now he told me, he said, because if I share with you, I'll be in trouble because you're going to tell mom. Oh my gosh.
My family has somewhat of a similar story, because my dad never knew he met his biological father later in life when he was in his 30s, but he was raised by his stepdad, who was Chinese and who left communist China in the 40s. Very similar. His family was kind of well-to-do.
Yeah.
And, and that led him to leave communist China because of the persecution of certain people. And and my father being raised with that, being taught to him, because it wasn't just the economics of communism, it was also the way they treated people and took away their freedoms.
But we didn't know.
Right. And so a lot of people didn't know.
We were happy.
Right.
Until today, I think many people are still that way.
Yeah.
It comes back to this country too, because, like, for example, last year when I ran for the U.S. Senate, I just want to take back what belongs to the people. But then I have always, the whole world, I respect all of them because they have different view. And the pros and cons of you can see everything depending how you look at, is it half full or half empty, right? So for the Chinese government, it's very easy for them to get things done. But if
Right.
they have freedom, if the people have freedom, they wouldn't be so easy. For example, look at our Freeway 56. How long, right?
Yeah.
To build.
Right.
If for China, probably 6 months, 3
Yeah.
months to 6 months done.
Yeah.
Right? So then when you talk about, overall, depending on what direction or which way you're looking at economic,
Yeah.
they have, the priority in the 80s, China was 86%.
Yeah.
And United States back then was about 11 or 12%.
Yeah.
And we remain this percentage. I don't know who, I just Googled it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who gave that number?
Yeah.
But today, China is less than, 4% priority.
Mhm.
And but yet, United States still remain 11%.
Mm.
So how are you going to, then you see about the two systems, right?
Right.
Then you talk about freedom.
Mhm.
Freedom is about your choice,
Mhm.
making the right choice in life and pursuit of happiness.
Mhm.
So when you have the basic necessity fulfilled, then it's your spiritual.
Okay.
It's your
Right.
mind. Do you have the freedom to analyze the situation, to understand something? And last year when I ran, it's because the basic, if we all know about the tax, income tax,
Right.
the history of income tax, then you'll know the government, there's many ways to run. And taking people's money, especially there's a discrimination to me. I see. The harder you work, the more I'm going to take from you. Don't give me the progressive or whatever in taxes. And don't tell me yesterday I have a heated conversation with someone that run into me about, the tax point of view, right? She said, I want to pay. I say, that is great for you that you want to pay. But many people, they don't want to pay. But you know why? Because the money that the government took from them, it's not used wisely.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So number one. Number two, I say, I give, did you know every dollar that we spend, how many jobs we created? But they refuse to see that part. And then they talk about, the gap, the rich and poor gap. That is BS. You know why? Everybody, God give me talent. I came here with no English, no money, no connection at 17 and a half.
Yeah.
If I can make it, anybody can.
Yeah.
We all have two hands. We're not handicapped. Even handicapped,
Right.
you can do something. This country will love you if you eager and want to change your life. And that is the freedom I'm talking about. And that is the choice that, that people, that I try to wake people up. But then it says I only have 58 votes.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But all right, I try and I try to, the money, take back more money so that you're not stressing out, because the founding father want us to pursue of happiness. Let me ask you today and ask the audience, how many people are happy? How many people are truly happy?
Yeah.
Because this is a beautiful country.
Yeah. I unfortunately, I would say not a lot of people are happy when they should be happy, because obviously, even somebody like myself who, was born here, there are a lot of people who are born here who take for granted the things that we have here. The fact that we have running water.
Why?
Well, I think it's probably for a lot of different reasons,
Because the society trained you that way.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And the same thing with business, because when I taught at San Diego State, my MBA class, I don't teach by the book. I set up a real consulting company and let my student run. And that's how you should be teaching.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because the AI and machine learning and the robot is all coming.
Right.
So soon, right?
Yeah.
Do you think, because all these years I've been mentoring so many graduate, undergraduate, they couldn't find job. They went to master, thinking that after master they will get a job. Oh no. I have PhD students come to me and say, Lilly, help me find a job. And when I talk to them, they have absolutely no social skill. They won't even look me in the eyes. So what are we talking about, in this free country and our education system today? How many teachers, let me ask you, that understand the future is not depending on what the basic, the standard of education. Absolutely not. because we don't use the landline anymore.
Right.
So if our education system don't change,
Yeah.
how do you expect our people to be happy and live a happy life? Because 80% of the jobs going to be obsolete.
Yeah.
You tell me any jobs that you're thinking of that machine cannot substitute. Tell me.
I mean, the only ones that really can, and they're probably going to get there, is trades. So like electrician, plumber, somebody that has to get under, actually work. Those are probably some of the only jobs. I mean, even some of the doctor jobs are going to be going away. Surgeons might be going away because of machines.
I had the machine did the surgery on me.
Yeah. So,
because my sister-in-law and I had the same surgery.
Yeah.
And she has the real human surgery. I have the robot.
Yeah.
Mine is healed. Until now, 5 years later, she's still in pain.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Mine is healed. You can't even see it almost.
So what do you think's the solution to something like that? Like like when you're saying it's education, is one of the hindrances or preventing us from being happy. What do you think we should change on the education system?
Our people, it's the leadership.
Okay.
The leadership, because our government is elected by the people.
Right.
So I told, because every day I met different people. And then I talked to them, right? So one of the person that I talked to a few days ago, he said, I'm from Midwest and we're so poor and the government is so stupid. I said, it's not the government stupid. It was the people. You have nobody to blame but yourself. And he looked at me like, what? I said, okay, this country, the founding father founded this country to have the government to govern you, to help you, to pursue of happiness, to take care of the society for you. We don't need a big giant government. We don't need the money to do that. But people don't understand that because you know why? If you know how to govern, for example, I hire you, it's a big corporation, right? That's my understanding. A lot of people will have different view than me, but it's just so lucky that I'm in both worlds. I'm an entrepreneur for the past 35 years. So, it's running a country is no different than running a big giant corporation that you have different department. So when I hire you and the people, because this country is people elect you into office. When we elect you into the office, your job is to make our life better, not harder, not taking another tax, not tax this, tax that, because there are many ways to run. And if the government that you elect has not that kind of wisdom, they do not qualify to be the government. So in the future, I'm telling everybody, it's not about the party. It's about that person that you're going to elect them. You ask them simple one question. Are you going to protect my freedom? Are you going to not take my money away?
Right.
That's all I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
If you say yes, and then you have a business background, I will elect you.
Yeah.
If not, then I won't.
Right.
And also for me, because I was planning to tell my voters, if, when I elected, but I am not going to run again.
Yeah.
But when I elected, I have 1 year to show you if I qualify or not. Yeah. Because you don't hold that position if you don't qualify. You have to let someone else do it.
Yeah.
So that's another way of a voting system, 4 years, just because people don't know that put it into the law.
Yeah.
But it's not, because you have to do it by merit. And then you have to look at all the companies, right? Then you see all the people being laid off and everything else. Then it shouldn't be laying off people first. The first person should be laid off is the CEO.
Yeah.
Not the people.
Right. Because
the CEO did not know how to embrace the talent of their employee so that the company doesn't make money.
Right. Yeah.
And then when you talk about the rich and poor, right, the gap,
yeah.
You think about, if you look at Elon Musk, how many hours he worked and all the stress that he had, right? And how many jobs, how many life he changed. Yeah. Then are you still saying the rich and poor gap? Because with his money, he's not going to take with him. Yeah. And with his money, he created everything he dreamed of for the well-being of our human being. Yeah. It's not for profit. So
yeah, I think, when they talk about the wealth gap, one of the things they also don't talk about is the effort gap, the hours put in gap, the
the risk
the risk you put in of your
and
money
the stress.
gap and the stress gap.
Because I'm a business owner,
Right.
I know.
Right. Yeah. Same here. So
And anybody, if they dare to step out of the comfort zone and be an owner, they will understand this.
Yeah.
So not until then, they have no right to talk about, the rich and poor, because the rich, yes, a lot of people, but look at how many rich, if their generation is not good enough, the rich will not last 3 generations.
Right.
They will burn it off. But every time when they burn it off, it's perfect for us.
Right.
Because every dollar they spend, did you know how many lives, they change? When they go, buy a luxury car, they make the luxury owner very happy, and all the employees are very happy,
right.
their life. Right. So if you cut the rich, what do you have?
Yeah.
And if you and I, we all have the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to kind of circle back to one thing you were talking about, which was taxes.
Yes.
What would be an ideal tax system if there is one? Well, how would you, if you had
flat tax, no discrimination,
just a flat tax?
Just a flat tax. Okay. And for people making income less than 25,000, they don't pay income tax at all. They shouldn't. And then anyone else, then we tax, because if you know how to run the budget, you might not even need the tax too, because in the beginning, the first tax was 1861 because of Civil War. To fund the Civil War, and they didn't even collect it. It was what, 3%?
Right. It was hard to collect back then.
Exactly. Right. And that was that. So, but our country is founded in 1776. But there's no income tax. So just because the war, but then the government that people elected into office see that it was so easy, right? To just take money instead of using their wisdom to think. For example, school. The public is public school right now, right? If you turn it into entrepreneurship and let people, the government, this country, we have the land, we provide the facility, and let a person that is good in charge for 1 year to run the school. Not only our government don't have to pay $13,000-$14,000 per student every year. They're going to pay the government, so that we can become a very, very strong government. It's just one example, but in every way, the highway, all the police, everything. If you have a person that knows how to run, I hate going to DMV, but it's our taxpayers' money. Do we get the respect? No. We still have to be waiting online and then going through the stupid procedures.
Right.
You understand? So if we can eliminate it and just let that person, if they say they're qualified, the same with our government official. If you think you're qualified, you tell the people, I show you in 1 year, I get things done. If I don't get things done, I have to step down, because you have absolutely no right to continue for another 3 years. You have no right.
Are you familiar with what's called the land value tax? Have you ever heard of that before?
Different than the property tax?
It's similar. So one of the
I understand the property tax, but not never heard of that.
It's another way of, rather than collecting taxes through income, what they would basically do is just collect it through property tax, but through what's called the land value tax. What it is, it's actually are you familiar? Have you ever heard of Milton Friedman? He was an economist, kind of.
Yes, I love him.
So he liked the idea of a land value tax. And basically what it is, sometimes it's hard. Well, one, taxing people on their earnings, right, can be discouraging for some people, in terms of, working harder. And then also, depending upon how you file your taxes, there's a lot of way to avoid sometimes even paying taxes.
For the rich.
Absolutely. So what a land value tax does is, when you pay property tax on your home, they combine two values. It's the value of the land and the value of the actual home, how much it would sell. So kind
understood.
of
the property tax.
Right. So
it's just another name.
Right.
Okay.
So let's just say the land is worth $500,000 and the home is worth another $500,000. So you pay taxes on the whole million, your property tax, right?
That's what we're doing right now.
Right. Well,
in California, at least.
At least in California.
Yeah.
What a land value tax would do is it wouldn't tax you on the on the home. It would just tax you on the land part.
Okay.
Now, here's why that's important. Here's why that's important is that number one, when a homeowner decides to upgrade their home,
yeah,
right? If they want to build a room or, expand something and they put $100,000 into their home, well, technically their property tax is going to go up because they've increased the value. So it can discourage people from upgrading. To do the
upgrade. Yes,
right?
I understand. Yes.
So by just taxing the land, you no longer discourage people from that, which is going to encourage people to build more, which is more
because
jobs.
Every time they build, they create more jobs,
Exactly.
and then more family have food on the table.
Exactly. And then also what it does is, what happens is there's lots of developers who will buy vacant land or a certain property and just sit on it. With the land value tax, what happens is those people would actually pay a higher tax, and it forces them to say, hey, you're going to need to do something with this property, either turn it into housing, either turn it into commercial for business, because they're not going to be incentivized to just sit and wait. So every time you see like a vacant lot or anything where developers just waiting on it, it would force them to build more. So it encourages building.
Beautiful.
And
I like that.
Yeah. And because so much wealth is in, property and everything, it's just a simpler way to gain tax revenue as opposed through taxing people's earnings. And profits, basically. So it's I always like to bring it up because
I like that.
It's a new idea that actually I should say it's an old
idea that it's just being rediscovered.
That's right. Yes, that's being rediscovered. So I always like to share that.
I love that.
But yeah, I've gone on your social media. I saw that you're very much into taxes and how the tax code works and some of the downsides of it. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the government does have a problem with spending our money and managing it. They're obviously not managing it correctly in many ways.
Yes.
But one of the things I wanted to go back to too is, we have a worldview or a certain view of China, for example, right?
Okay.
Here in the United States, because of what we see in the news or whatever we've been taught. What would you say in the United States? What do we get wrong about China, and what do we get right about China? Is there something where you go, hey, that maybe this isn't true about China? This is really how it is. Is there something here in America that we get wrong about China?
I think we get wrong about China is the culture and the people and the leadership.
Okay,
that's all. Just the two, because Chinese people overall are. Including, I think the government, they also want to do good for the people but it's the freedom.
Right.
The differentiation is that now I taste the freedom of the capitalism, and then I live through, the Cultural Revolution, and everybody's the same. But I think it goes back to the land value too. The tax incentivize, and the same, it goes to school and everything else. And I don't think that, the elite schools should have like the minorities or whatever, that you have to assign certain, because would you like someone to operate your brain just because their ethnicity get into the elite school and graduated, but they're not as good?
Right. Yeah. When
you understand?
Yeah.
So would you like them to operate your brain? No, you won't.
Yeah.
Right. And then that goes into don't talk about the discrimination and all of that. I mean, I think people would misunderstood me on this one. I'm talking about the fundamental of love. If everybody love one another, there's no discrimination. And everybody, if we, the society, don't tell people about the color, the baby, they don't understand.
Right.
They love everybody.
Right.
If we can turn our country back to that, originality, and being just simply human being, love one another and know don't talk about, because if you talk about it in some sense, you created you plant the seed.
Yeah.
So the kids don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Suddenly they say, oh my gosh, we have to fight for equality. When their parents are paying so much tax and they're having hard time to spend time with them, and yet you're talking about this, and then you being teaching the kids thinking that way, instead of thinking them how to embrace the AI, embrace the technology in the future, and live a happy life and create your own job.
Yeah. One of the things that I was talking to somebody about, there's perception, and that perception breeds action.
Yes.
And one of the terms that gets thrown around a lot is the term of white privilege, right? I hear it all, we hear it. And the problem with that, and the danger of that, in my opinion, of a term like that, is that if somebody thinks that they're being held back because of the color of their skin, or because there's a white person holding them back, their actions, they're not going to be willing to do certain things, because it's like, well, why should I even try if everything's stacked against me? As opposed to somebody who...
That's why in the future, it's pure merit. Don't talk about race. Don't put your name on the exam.
Right.
Because I'm a essay judge for House of China for 23 years, right? I never knew each candidate's name. I don't know which school they're from. I have no idea. They just send me a stack of essay for me to read, and then find the first, second, third prize for 23 years. Wow. And I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
The same with the education system, because we have social security number. Use your social security number. Forget about don't even ask the race side of it.
Right.
Because why would you ask? So, and then let the grades tell the story. And then a lot of times because one thing you ask the difference between Chinese and the American, I also know that, because the Chinese parents, their life goal is to focus their children to be the best. So academically, they're very, very, very good. You understand? They're a great test taker. So it will be two measurement. One is the social contribution, and one is the grades. So if your social contribution is nothing, because they do a lot, but now they do a lot of charity work. So, but the charity work, they're coming from because of the two system, right? They do have it. But then I'm trying to teach, the youth how to become the leader, because everybody's doing it, right? The blue seas. How can you become that red dot? In the blue seas. And that's what I'm doing right now.
And I've also noticed you seem to do a lot with young people.
100%, because they're the future of our country. And absolutely. Then I teach them soft skill, because they don't know how to network. So the same with my campaign, right? For my first campaign, I have no campaign manager, nothing, right? I just totally let the youth to run. And I say, you just do the research for the homeless, and then also because their goal is to get the scooter problem solved, right? So I say, you give me that, and then you educate me on that one. Then I'll fight for you. And that was awesome. It. And then one of my very proudly, the recommendation letter that I wrote, he went to Georgetown, and now he graduated, because almost graduated.
That's awesome.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Those soft skills are very important.
Yes.
I mean, the ability to communicate, you can have the best idea in the world, but if you can't communicate
exactly, exactly,
it doesn't matter.
Yep. I told the kids the same way. And then because another difference in Chinese, we're very humble. So it took me a long time, because I'm not supposed to tell you what I'm good at.
Right.
I'm not supposed to tell you, oh, I can do this, I can do that, we can do this, we can do that, right? Because when I was little, I liked to do that. So my teacher, in my report card, my grade was good, because we don't have to do anything. I just followed the teacher's rule. I got A's, right? But then they always say, because I have that proud egotistic
Yeah,
and
yeah,
proud,
yeah,
whatever, right?
yeah,
Not humble,
yeah,
not being humble. Okay,
yeah.
the word is not being humble.
Mhm.
So every single one of my report card, my teacher, my advice is always not being humble, right?
Mhm.
So I start learning because every year I want to be better, right? Then I have to do it subtly, right?
Mhm.
But in this country, I noticed that, you know, when you go to a job interview,
Yeah.
the first 3 seconds, if my impression didn't give you that I can do all of this,
Mhm.
and when you tell me I can, I lost the chance,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I have to rewire the children because their parents are all like that. They don't like to shine,
yeah,
you know? And then they, one of the event that I went to, she became I think the best headhunter
Mhm.
in San Jose,
Okay.
Chinese.
Yeah, yeah,
And then she said that's what she's been teaching people because she was like that. And then
yeah,
one of her students, she's very good in a biotech company.
yeah.
Every time the boss asks her, "Do you want to be the director?" she always humble say no,
Right.
no. And then
Mhm.
she passed all the race.
Yeah,
And then finally, when this lady coaching her,
yeah.
and then she became the director and she got the double salary.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
Just
it
by
was like
changing
that.
the mindset. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So that's the difference
yeah.
too.
That's awesome. Let me add, and one of the things too is, what are your thoughts about what's going on with China and Taiwan? You know, I know that's a big. Are you like, you know, there's talk about, you know, China forcefully bringing back Taiwan. Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think we'll ever go to war with China? Do you have an opinion on that? I mean, what are your any thoughts on that by any chance?
My opinion is that you have two examples,
Mhm.
you know, Hong Kong and Macau.
Yeah,
So after 99-year lease, then you have to ask yourself, because it is, if the whole world cannot even decide, you know, is Taiwan belong to the old China or
yeah,
not? And then if the old China become the new China, is, do you recognize that or not?
yeah.
And then you decide.
Okay.
But and I don't think China will use force because Chinese culture is harmony.
Mm.
So if any way, I believe the government will take it in, you know, the force just to show you how powerful they are.
Yeah,
If you don't do that, but then, you know, eventually, I think it will be united. It's just that I don't believe it will be by force.
Oh, wow. So you actually think Taiwan will join China, but it just won't be through force. It will be maybe economic or something else.
It's just my personal
Okay.
opinion, because if you can make the decision that if Taiwan belongs to China,
Mhm.
if your argument is strong enough, then if it is,
Mhm.
then, you know, if it is China, then it will be mutually. It's just me, because
Yeah, yeah,
the whole world is talking about that, and then
yeah.
people have fear. But I don't believe both sides wanted to have a war,
Or yeah,
because then every time when the war happens, you see what happens to people.
yeah,
It's not the government.
yeah.
And then in the end, why?
Right, right. Why all these people die? But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
because God created this world for
yeah,
us to live in harmony.
yeah,
And anybody that does things otherwise, I don't support war.
yeah,
I really don't,
yeah,
because I see so much tragedy and so many families are broken. And for what?
yeah. What are, you know, being somebody who came here as an immigrant, how do you feel about, and obviously you love America, which is great, but what are your thoughts about how we get our involvement in the world? You know, about us, and for example, us being involved in Ukraine or other parts of the world. Like, do you think that's a good thing for everybody, or or I mean, how is there? Do you have a feeling about that? I mean, in terms of like good or bad?
I love this country,
Yeah.
and I am a great fan of Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon Musk just had a video yesterday. I don't know if we took it down. And he said that our country is very divided.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can't even handle our own, if we can't even unite our own people in our country and
Yeah.
make our country remain, you know, to be strong,
Mm-hmm.
you don't qualify to
the
mingle
world.
other people's business, right?
Right.
But if you're truly that strong, then you have authority to stop the war, to stop people doing evil things. Because if you don't stop that, then you're just taking care of your own.
Yeah.
It's kind of no different than when I ran for this city council. I have a lot of the city councilmen actually. They say, Lily, if you can, this is great because you're Chinese and you're running, right? And you're female.
Yeah.
If you can get the Chinese voter to your side, if you can get them to vote, you're great. Because they say Chinese are the hardest, right? And that's what happened. The question that from you're asking that I referring back to it is that, do you just care about yourself? But if you not until you have a healthy body and strong body, you don't have the authority. You don't have the power to tell other country what to do, right?
Right.
But if you do, and then you're great,
Yeah.
then you can tell them, hey, we're very strong and powerful.
Yeah.
If you don't stop the war, we're going to do something.
Yeah.
And then whatever you need to do, both sides, it's all about compromise. And what is best for both people, both countries, people, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it just my take of the view is that we must first unite it in our country and must tell our citizens, what the founding father created this country is pursuit of happiness.
Right.
Are you happy? So whoever that you run, you elect into the office, are they doing their job to make you happy? If not, they don't qualify. Period.
Yeah. You had talked about the rights, that government is here really to kind of protect our rights.
Yes.
What are some rights that you feel are in jeopardy right now? Freedom.
Because what you can say, what you cannot say. If you say something, I don't like people say bad things.
Right.
But the society make it such a harshment on people when they express their true feeling. And that is not good. And then when you said I work a lot with children, I have a 7-year-old talk about the video. You have to look at it. What freedom means to him. And he knows more than most of us.
Oh, wow.
7-year-old. He's a math genius and a pianist.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
I have many of those kids that I'm nurturing right now.
Awesome. In terms of, we've been talking a lot about, kind of world politics and everything. What, in terms of just California, what do you say we do? Is there something that you would, if I was somebody from a different country and I said, hey, what do we get good and what do we do right in California and what do we do wrong in California? What would you say some of the things that we do right and what do we do wrong?
So far, what do we do right and what do we wrong? The government, the California. It's a beautiful state. And then the government did wrong is the tax, the state tax. And the government did right. I can't think of it.
Well, how about maybe not as, if we said maybe not government, would you say maybe as a society here in California?
The society in California. So far, I love, we still have the freedom to, for me to nurture the children. So if they stop me doing that moment, then I believe all my freedoms are gone. So, but I cannot see much good because this is a beautiful state. And it's the most beautiful climate San Diego has. So if we can just have more people friendly and giving and helping and loving one another instead of so much, the
like a division.
Yes. And then also the inequality and all of this. If they would understand, if we promote love, we turn California into a love state. This is heaven. It's the world's paradise. So if the government can do that, then they're absolutely amazing.
And in terms of government, here in California, especially in San Diego too, there's kind of this, as I'm an independent, and there's certain things that I kind of lean more conservative, certain things I might lean a little bit more liberal or whatever you might call it. But
you shouldn't be thinking about that.
I don't,
You should be just thinking about how can I make our people's life better.
And I agree.
And don't talk about the party.
And I agree.
Because you know why?
Yeah.
A lot of people, because of a party system, they're blind to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the races, we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Just you show people this is what I can do for you. Mm-hmm. If you want me to, I'll show you in 1 year. Yeah. And do something that someone has never done before. Yeah. It's just a strategy, a campaign strategy, is that in 1 year, if I don't deliver what I said I'm going to deliver, mm-hmm. I resigned.
Wow. Yeah.
If you truly for the people, you have no fear to say that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, what I was trying to get at is, do you feel that there's kind of, I always say like in San Diego, there's kind of this Democrat mafia where if you're not part of that crew of people or part of that party,
I was told,
yeah, that it's very, if
because
you don't kiss
it's a
the
deep
ring,
blue
right?
State.
And do you think that, unfortunately, that weeds out a lot of the voices of a lot of independents, voters, even conservative voters, or people who might consider themselves conservative?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. That's why they win.
Right.
I mean, that's how to win a campaign. Yeah. I mean, from the 2 campaign that I ran, that's what I got.
Okay.
So, but again, I believe people, if we know how to educate people, then you can make a difference.
Different. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then do that thing that I don't think, have you ever heard of that? Like, I'm going to be in office and give me 1 year to
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say it like that. Like, hey, I'll do it within 1 year. If I can't do it in 1 year,
I resign.
I resign.
So in this 1 year, I will help you find someone that is able and capable, and then you decide.
Yeah.
I'll find you like maybe 5.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think I think if you have the right intentions, I think that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then if you use that, then people won't think about the parties.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, let me ask you, what is so you say you're not running anymore, right?
No.
Okay. So is that like a never, or are you maybe 10 years down the road? Or?
I can never say never, but I'm not.
No, okay.
Because I already, my first run, it was really cool because without fundraising, without any door knocking, I totally against the system because I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because if I do everything that other people do, what for? And then my intention is just simply fix the road and make our life better.
Yeah.
For the San Diegans.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then, but I was 3,146 votes short to make it to the general.
Wow.
Without fundraising.
Yeah. That shows.
And without door knocking and without cold call.
Yeah.
Because I serve the community a lot. And then all I do is I have so many people tell me, because I have over 200 of these shirts. Right?
Yeah.
And I've been wearing this for the last 4 years.
Oh, nice.
And I cannot change because my mother-in-law always say, Lily, I bought you clothes and then you have so many clothes. Why can you not change? I said, I am so used to it and I don't want to think in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I kind of now understand, Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, they were the same thing. Yeah.
They wear the same thing because we don't have to think about what to wear.
Yeah.
And I say, what does it matter what I wear to other people? So for me, this is my goal. This is me.
Yeah.
And then I have 200 of them. And then, so I just love it because red also is my favorite color, has nothing to do with parties.
Yeah.
It's just that, communist is part red too.
Yeah.
So it just purely, it gives you life and gives you, the color, makes you happy.
Yeah.
It just set the tune right in the morning.
Brightens things up.
Yeah, as soon as I see red, I say, oh my God, this is going to be a great day. How many people I'm going to touch their life I'm going to touch today.
Yeah. Tell me, I know you're kind of, from my understanding, have your hand in a lot of different pots. Like you do a lot of different volunteers and boards and
I'm a treasurer for
Yeah.
3 nonprofits.
and if you don't, are you able to share what those nonprofits are? Like what
I will share with you the House of China because
Okay.
when I moved to San Diego,
Mhm.
House of China president approached me. Then ever since I served on the board, I was the past president and vice president. If I'm
Right.
not a past president, I mean, if I wasn't the past president for 23 years, and we serve and we just serve,
Yeah.
and that's all. And
Oh,
then
wow.
the board elected me to be the treasurer. Then I'm the treasurer.
Perfect. So
it was that easy.
Yeah. So you're kind of from here on forward, you're from my understanding, it looks like you're just to keep serving people specifically, especially sounds like young people.
100%.
Awesome.
Because I want people to live happily.
Yeah.
And then I want people to appreciate the freedom that I have that make me who I am.
Yeah.
And if they truly know me, they will understand that they're way, way smarter than me and they're way, way better than me.
Yeah.
But one thing that I would like to see in people is the open mind and audacity. Because every time when I give opportunity to people, they think too much.
Yeah.
And then by the time they think too much, the opportunity already gone.
Yeah.
For example, right now we have the California Dreams for All. The $300 million to help the down payment. A lot of people misunderstood it's a grant, but it's not. It's a loan.
Yeah.
And it's a no interest loan. And people can take advantage.
Yeah.
But when something like this so good, nobody wants. I mean, the people at least I know when I told them, they don't want it.
Yeah.
And that's the sadness. And that's why, when they complain, they're not happy or poor. And sometimes I just ask them, because we give you a lot of opportunities, but you just don't take it.
Yeah.
And then also in 2017, we gave I have a nonprofit, Global Innovation Center.
Okay.
And we gave $10,000 to the winner because I like to see the fashion designer, the young fashion designer, to have an intention when they design is to showcase their culture.
Oh, wow.
Their country's culture, right?
Yeah.
And then I have a student help me. We send letter invitations to 156 embassies in the world to ask their youth talent, designer to representing their country to win the $10,000 cash.
Oh, wow.
Guess how many? How many that actually took it?
20?
No.
10?
No.
5?
No.
1?
The girl that was helping me was one of them.
Yeah.
And we have one American and another one Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah. Wow.
So when the Equatorial Guinea, the girl, she's 24 years old, when she called me, she said, Lily, are you going to pay for my visa and my plane ticket, my hotel and everything? I say, if back then I didn't know how many.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, no, I'm going to teach you how, because I never give people fish.
Yeah.
I teach you how to fish.
Yeah.
So the country is only 750,000 people. I say, you write letters to your president, to your culture minister to ask for their support.
Yeah.
And she got it.
Oh, wow.
And she came and she compete, and her story touched the judges because I have the Brazil, the officers from Brazil's embassy and the attorney from LA to be the judge. And all three of them had great stories, the design, because the Chinese one, she put in the most because she put the whole 5,000 years of Chinese culture into her design.
Wow.
But her story wasn't compelling as the 24-year-old from Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah.
She used the cap, the
bottle caps.
Bottle caps.
Oh, wow.
The pole one.
Yeah.
She made it a mermaid dress.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And then so her country she just won $10,000, and it changed her whole life because when she went back, the country welcomed her, and then she gave $5,000 to her brother for his education, and she bought herself a first sewing machine. She's a single mom.
Wow, that's awesome.
And that's what we do. And then that's just one of the examples that I show you that there's so many great opportunities out there, but nobody take it. $10,000 cash.
Yeah. Just for the taking.
just for the taking.
Yeah.
But the world, and then people here saying we're poor.
Yeah.
You know, we can't find jobs. It's not that you can't find jobs. It's that you don't know how to find jobs. It's that you don't know how to give, and you don't know how to polish your talent.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. That's on. That, I mean, people don't understand. It's a lot of big part of success is on mindset.
Yes, that's why I'm asking.
starts,
It's mindset and
it's on-
audacity,
yeah.
and don't be afraid.
The
Just take,
willingness,
because you got
yeah.
nothing to lose.
Right. You're back at the same area, the same
Yeah.
spot you were
Yeah.
before. But
So
well, you know, I just want to say, you know, I'm going to wrap it up here, and I just want to say thank you so much
you're welcome.
for being a guest, and it's always a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll see each other again soon.
And run.
I plan
You
to.
will succeed.
Thank you so much.